Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition or episode of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 169. Yes, 169. We're just one episode away from our 170th episode. Remember, this was the podcast that I was kind of doing on the side. I was going to do 10 episodes and then I'd stop it. 169 episodes. And I'm very grateful to our growing global audience that tunes in every week, not to hear from me, but to hear from our guests. As you know, our focus here at the Hare Krishna Project podcast is about sharing people's stories. Everyone has a story to tell. And this week is another first. We're going through like a series of historic firsts. For the first time ever, I have interviewed two people at the same time before, but I will be interviewing twins. Twins. What a blessing that is. Two for the price of one. Before I introduce our twins, our guests today, I must remind you all, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook and you haven't already, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page so you can be kept updated about all the stuff we're doing here at the Hare Krishna Project. As you know by now, because you've seen the photos, you've seen the videos, as well as this podcast, we also do Hare Krishna festivals, school programs, public events, book distribution, mainly throughout the UK. But thanks to our partnership with the League of Devotees, we're now doing it around Europe. So if you want me to turn up at your front door, just send me an email and I might just I might just come and knock on your door. Okay, episode 169. I am delighted to welcome our guests this week. It's Shyamakund Prabhu and Krishna Charana Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Narada Prabhu. Thank you very much for invitation. Thank you for having us. It's pleasure.
It's great to have you both with us. And what makes it easy for me and for all of our guests and our viewers is that actually you've got different hairstyles and only one of you is wearing earrings.
Yeah.
So it's so just tell us which of you is Shyamakund Prabhu.
I'm Shyamakund Prabhu, Shyamakund Das, and
Shyamakund Das. Yeah.
just few months I decided to wear the earrings to better recognize.
Yeah, they look quite groovy. They look like you're a bit of a kind of a punk rocker, kind of like and it looks I think it looks very liberating, kind of just wear what you want. I often just wear what I want anyway. Um okay, so therefore by process of elimination, to your left, to my right must be Krishna Charana Prabhu, Krishna
Yes.
Charana Das, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Das, Hare Krishna, Narada Prabhu, Hare Krishna, all viewers. We are
It's
grateful for your invitation.
No, it's great to have you both on the show this week. I'm really looking forward to the conversation, actually, based on the conversations we've had before today's episode. Okay, so I don't know who wants to go first. I don't know if there's always a trend, which of you goes first, or who was born first. Sometimes that affects who gives answers first. So question for both of you. Please tell us a little bit about you and where you are from.
Okay, I will start, even though I'm the younger one. So we were born in Czech Republic. It's quite small country in Central Europe, and we were born in architect family. Both of us, our parents are architects, and even our grandfather. So from like young young years, from childhood, we had some interest in art and drawing, painting. So this led us to some inquisitive nature, I would say, like discovering different worldviews, different philosophies in early age, and uh, gradually we started to question like the big life questions like why we are here, what's the purpose of life, um, even the global challenges like environmental crisis and problems in society in general, and that led us to activism in non-governmental organizations. So that was like our interest for a long time, that um, especially like helping nature, protecting nature, and that was also like connecting point to the devotees. In the beginning stage, we were attracted by the rural projects, farm communities that devotees have around the globe, and also in Czech Republic there is one long long running farm community. So we saw also some documentaries, short videos about this project, and that was one of the uh, connecting points. Would you like to say something? Mm, yeah, maybe Czech Republic is one of the post-Soviet countries in Europe. So this is also one of the reasons uh, how I became interested in the Hare Krishna movement, because the first book I've read was the short version of Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, and at the time I was like fascinated by the uh, counter revolution or the underground uh, artist movements that were in my country and all over like the Soviet countries in Europe. So I really appreciated the history of the movement, how it started during the hippie era in US, and yeah, for
Can
me
I
it,
just ask, what was it like growing up in the Czech Republic? You've mentioned how it's kind of it was a Soviet country in the USSR. Um, you're I know your age, but do you want are you okay to reveal your age to the viewers? Some people are a bit funny about that. You're 20,
we are 25 now,
25.
so we were born like some 20 years after the revolution, actually. It's
Yeah, and that was kind of I was trying to time ev pin everything together in my head in terms of the time frame. You were born after the collapse of the USSR. Um, but despite that, I'm sure that a lot of the kind of communist elements remained in Eastern Europe. You know, it's
yeah.
difficult to change things overnight, isn't it? Culturally, socially. So what was it like for you both growing up in the Czech Republic?
Hmm. Yeah, like I can from my experience, as you say, the mentality that developed during the communist regime or the totalitarian regime, it was for sure like it is still present in the generations that experienced the era. So in our family, we could, especially with our grandparents, uh, like their mistrust or uh, yeah, they were very uh, like questioning our beliefs, our approach to life,
Mm,
or even in the school there were like old teachers, like grammar school, so we could we could have some sense of how it yeah what was this totalitarian regime instilled into the people's minds. And yeah, I would add that the materialistic worldview was very much supported by communist regime, communist like Marxist philosophy that maybe maybe you heard of some the practices that Communist Party used in Russia, that they came with trucks loaded with bread and food, and they um, came to the like the poorest areas, and they distributed the food for free, and then they asked the people, so who is it who gives you the food? Is it God or Communist Party? And that's that was their uh, atheist propaganda. Like
So I'm guessing you didn't have a religious upbringing. Religion wasn't
really,
part of your childhood in any way at all.
we were baptized in early childhood by our parents, but it was more like a cultural thing, cultural custom to, I don't know, like protect the child if if it would happen that God exists, so that we will be kind of saved in the afterlife. But we never, I think we never was even in church like during the ceremony with our parents, and neither of our grandparents are like practicing uh, any religion, so it was it was left on our own to decide.
And just was I'm just quite intrigued. Is that with the Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church?
We were baptized in a Catholic church.
Okay, yeah. And here in the UK, it's almost exactly the same. Even though we don't have a communist history, the Church of England plays a cultural role in a lot of people's lives. So I have a friend who's like a Church of England priest or vicar, and he often jokes and says, "Well, the public they use us they use us for hatch, match, and dispatch. So
Mm.
for christenings, hatch, match, marriage, and dispatch, coffin at the funeral. So people use the church for cultural reasons, hatch, match, and dispatch.
Oh.
Um, of course, he wishes they came to church more, but he'll see them at least 3 times in their life. um,
Yeah, it's kind of spiritual insurance.
yes, it's for good luck, just in case there is a heaven or an afterlife. We'll get the blessing. Okay, so I'm now keen to know how two young twins from the Czech Republic discovered Krishna consciousness. How did you discover Krishna consciousness? How did you meet Hare
Mm.
Krishna devotees?
Yeah, so I will start with this one because I was the first one who started to practice Krishna consciousness, and I will continue with the interest in ecology, which I started about. So especially it was around 2016 when we went together to a summer school uh, focused on environmental mm, education and like social effects of climate change and so on. So we were discussing many different topics there, and after this summer school, we were thinking like how to um, adopt these practices in our daily life, how to change for better, to be more mm, like to live in harmony with nature. And we were searching for uh, alternative lifestyles, let's say. And I happened to meet one guy in our city who has, like, at the time he had a small garden in the city center, and he was maintaining goats in his garden. So it was very inspirational for me that he is able to live in the city and still like be partially self-sufficient by this way. And he was also like using only bike for his transport. And at the same time, he was very spiritual. Uh, Actually, he was Muslim, like Muslim convert, born in Czech Republic, but in his later 20s, I guess, he converted to Islam. So I started to visit this guy in when I had free time after school, and I was learning from him, discussing discussing with him about the spiritual values in his life and the how he chose to live simply, voluntarily, like based on his beliefs. He realized that the material success is not all in all in his life, and he wanted to live like with inner satisfaction, with the relationship with God. So yeah, he even told me how to make chapatis, for example, in his kitchen. He had like firewood oven, old firewood oven, and I milked the goats. So
Wow.
yeah, and this guy, he gave me a book written by Czech lady in 1963, and this lady married Indian guy from the family of Rabindranath Tagore, the great poet and writer. And through this book, I became familiar with the Indian culture. Like it was the first contact for me with like Indian lifestyle and the traditions and vegetarianism connected to the reincarnation system. And I was very much attracted by the values, especially the connection between the philosophy and the natural lifestyle and respect for nature in general. And then I started to meet also Hare Krishna devotees in the city center while they were distributing books. And then it was like um, sequence of meetings and coming across another references from India. For example, we watched biography of Gandhi, which was also very influential to us in the young teenage years. Like his revolutionary approach to non-violent protests during the British occupation of India. And yeah, gradually we discovered Bhagavad Gita as it is in our grandfather's library,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was a hidden diamond in his library. I think he had it even in locked part of his library where some controversial books were. Like he had some sense that this book that the Bhagavad Gita is not a ordinary book, that it has some potential to change people's life. So he probably decided to lock it up. And yeah, then we um, I visited the temple for the first time in the city where we grew up, and there was one devotee who was who became my friend, like close friend gradually, and who taught me how to practice Bhakti Yoga at home, how to chant on Japamala, how to cook for Krishna. So this was the starting um, path from me. Maybe Krishna Charan can share how he became interested,
Yes,
because
please.
in the beginning he was more interested in Christianity. So yeah, that was gradual process. Yeah. Uh, like I became, let's say, my spiritual path or search. I began it with some books about Buddhism. That was the way how I started practicing vegetarianism, even though most of the Buddhists nowadays don't practice it anymore. Um, and I also, yeah, as we were in this alternative lifestyle, uh, in this stage of our life, uh, I had some friends who were like anarchists and at the same time Christians, and they formed kind of a anarcho-Christian collective. It was like activist group who were trying to live a life inspired by the early teachings of Jesus, and they were kind of, yeah, we were opposing the conservative Christians in our country. We even did some like blockade, this kind of stuff. And yeah, also these people, they were vegans. It was really important for them also, like the non-violence towards every living entities. So when when we started to discuss with my brother about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, I felt like I'm okay. I already found my thing. I already uh, I already know what I want to do in my life. I want to be this anarcho-Christian, following Jesus, and sacrifice myself in the help to others. But gradually, as uh, I started to know more, like Shyamakund was very patient with me, and he was uh, showing showing me the. I was totally it totally blew off my mind when he described to me, he shared with me the Gaudiya Vaishnava or Vaishnava conception of the universe, like the cosmology, that on the top of the universe there is Goloka Vrindavana, where Shri Radha Krishna dances, and the whole universe circumambulates this event. So I was very attracted by the philosophy, and also the very important point was when I read the uh, prologue prologue to Srimad Bhagavatam, or like the foreword by Srila Prabhupada, and he directly addresses there that the need of the world nowadays is to reunite and reconnect. He even mentions communism there, and it was really like, yeah, it clicked in my mind, in my heart.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I would, both of your stories are intriguing, but Krishna Charana Prabhu, I was particularly intrigued about your involvement with the anarchist Christian group. And I was my brain there started to think about Jesus, and in one sense, Jesus was an anarchist because he was trying to make change, and he was shaking up the system during that time 2000 years ago. So yeah, an anarchist Christian group. That must have been fascinating to be involved with them, and the things that they were up to. And then by Krishna's arrangement, you both ended up with Bhakti Yoga, with Krishna Consciousness, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which I just find fascinating. I find fascinating that you both not necessarily because you're twins, just because you're brothers. I mean, there are some examples of. I mean, I have three brothers. None of them are interested in Krishna consciousness, and most people that join, most of the time, their siblings do not join. So that you're not only brothers, but you're twins, and you've both joined around the same time. You were both around 16, 17,
Mm.
18.
Yeah, yeah, close to that.
I'm sure I I don't know if you've ever had this done, but I'm sure a past life expert will be able to tell you something fascinating about were you twins in a previous life? What was the relationship you had in a I just find this very interesting. We've got two twins
Yeah.
that took to Krishna consciousness, and you grew up in a communist culture, and around the same time, you took an interest in spiritual matters.
Mm.
Someone who's just interested in the study of religion and religious people, I find that really interesting. Out of interest, what do your parents and grandparents think now about you both being Hare Krishna devotees?
Um, I guess it got better by the time. Like, I have to admit that in the beginning I was also a fanatic, really, like sleeping on the floor under my like I had the two level bed to so I was sleeping under my bed on the floor, and I was getting up before 4 a.m. to get to the temple for Mangala Arati on bike, and like rejecting all the food. I think that this was one of the hardest things to accept, especially for mother and grandmothers, that they no longer couldn't cook for us and or for me in the beginning. And yeah, also the vision or the change of values that I don't want to pursue like money making career. I want to live simply and with minimum and be like rather follow the path of inner peace, inner satisfaction. So both parents and grandparents were mm, challenged by this and cautious about my future. And now, yeah, there is like longer story behind that. When we quit university and went to ashram, uh, but currently we started like again to study university, and we are more integrated into the general society, let's say, again. So, so uh, parents got calmer, and I have to say that they are also very tolerant in the same time. Like from what I've heard from other devotees, that for example, their parents were hiding the books from them, and they were like totally against. They couldn't hear even Hare Krishna like at all. So. comparison to this, our parents never had any major objections to the religious practice we do. Like, yeah, s- still better than have two young drug addicts or something.
Yeah, yeah. You have to. Everybody needs to look at everything from a relative point of view. You know, at the age of 16, 17, you joined the Hare Krishna movement, which promotes vegetarianism, peace, um, we don't use the word much, but ahimsa, non-violence, and we promote a simple life. You haven't joined a terrorist organization. You're not going around killing people. You haven't gone out drinking excessively, chasing women or men, taking drugs. So actually, um, things could be a lot worse than joining the Hare Krishna movement, couldn't they? Um, uh, yeah. Okay. Um, we've got a lot to get through today because there's two of you, so we've got twice as much to discuss, which is fantastic. So I mean, believe it or not, 2016 was almost a decade ago. Time goes really quickly. Last year I marked 20 years in the Hare Krishna movement. It doesn't feel like 20 years. I've even got the scars to prove it. For the last 20 years. Um, that's a joke, by the way. When I took initiation in the Hare Krishna movement, I said my vows. And I also have to admit, I deviated and I had a fifth vow, which that I would never lose my sense of humor. Okay, that's also a joke as well, but I would never lose my sense of humor because a lot of them take it too
It's a good
seriously.
one.
You've got to have a bit of a laugh sometimes. Okay, a decade is, in one sense, it's a long time. In the sense of eternity, it's not. But for two young men that are almost 26, a decade is almost half of your life, really, isn't it? So
Right.
over the last decade, please tell us a little bit about some of the projects and the savers that you've been involved with, and what inspired you to get involved with them.
Mm. Yes. Okay, I will start with this one. So, yeah, like shortly after we joined the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in our country, we got in touch. We got to know about His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj, and as Shyamakund mentioned, we were interested in the like environmental activism and natural protection. So Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj, he very much focuses in his preaching on the Daiva Varnashrama Dharma conception in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So we were very much attracted by this. We perceive perceive it as a, let's say, like panacea or remedy to most of the nowadays social and environmental issues. But for sure, it's really like difficult and challenging uh, system to like renew and yeah rejuvenate in the present scenario. But yeah, so from that point we were connected, engaged in sevas, connected to this very wide and uh, yeah, very wide theme of Varnashrama. We were supporting the project in our country, a farm community that that was yeah, around the time Shyamakund joined the temple in our city. This project was starting. It was uh, nearby the city where the temple was situated at the time, and it was like actually past, yeah, like during the communist era, there were these agriculture, uh, how to call it, like the Communist Party, it tried to collectivize the agriculture in every country. So the the property from all different small farmers in the area. It was just united, like connected into one big um, cluster, and they even constructed these like bigger farms and started to use like industrialization in the agriculture, started to use machines, tractors in a large scale. So somehow devotees in our country got this property because it was no longer used by the like farmers,
Mm.
and they started the community there. So we were closely connected to this project. We were, yeah, like the buildings there, they were quite dismantled. So there was and there still is much of construction work, and devotees grow their own vegetables there, and they have cows. So we were engaged in like like cow care, and yeah. Yeah, also for me, this was interesting point or important part where I became interested in the traditional crafts, especially textile making or handloom weaving. Like because of my artistic nature, I was very much attracted to to these aspects of the simple life, like how you can yourself make the things needed for life. So I was helping with even growing our own flax, the little plant which is used for fiber. It was the major uh, uh, produce in the medieval Europe, or even like 100 years back. It was the main source for textile in Europe. But nowadays it's all gone because of the textile industry moved to third world countries. But yeah, we wanted this community especially have this vision of like self-sufficiency. So we had this idea to grow our own flax and make the fabric from it and wear it, which showed to be rather too idealistic, like especially in the beginning stage, because um, yeah, at first you have to care about the food and the shelter, and the the crafts can come later. But it was like very valuable experience for me to go through the whole process of planting the the plants, and then harvesting them and processing, and yeah, we make we made like small samples of the fiber and fabric, and we visited even some people in our country who are like expert in this area, who still continues with the craft. And um, yeah, we learned a lot there on the farm, even though it was not like easy.
Mm.
It was challenging. I mean, like living in a small space with other people, and no electricity.
I have to say I personally find it difficult to live with other people. I like to be on my own and have my own daily routine. So I really admire you for living in such a small space with other people. I think it would drive me crazy. personally. Um, but we're all very different. I can see that there's a link between you both in terms of your interest in kind of authentic living, organic living, simple lifestyles. And for lots of people, that's what attracts them to the Krishna consciousness movement, is that kind of simple, simple living, high thinking. Don't waste your time too much on the material aspects of life. Focus on the spiritual. We've spent thousands of lifetimes worrying about the material world. Let's now just spend this one focusing on spiritual matters. So I can
Mm.
see that's something that you both kind of have in common. And just to say, you mentioned your Guru Maharaj. I actually met your Guru Maharaj around 10 years ago. I was in Sweden, of all places, and I was on a tour, a festival tour, traveling around Scandinavia. And I remember meeting your Guru Maharaj after a Rath Yatra
Mm.
in a public park. And I think he was sitting on the floor. And I went and just sat next to him, and we had a wonderful conversation about just life in general. I can't remember the details, but I remember feeling very comfortable around him and very warm in his presence. He was very welcoming, and
Mm.
yeah. So I believe also, this is episode 169. You're the first disciples of your particular Guru Maharaj that I've ever interviewed. So that's
Mm.
another tick. We're slowly getting through the list. And just so I understand fully, are you involved with those projects now that you've mentioned?
Um, yeah, not the farm community I mentioned. We we don't go there like anymore. There was some realization, like it was for us. It was like from one going from one extreme to the other, like from anarchist group activism to very conservative. Um, um, I must say, like the kind of leadership is based on uh, one one man authority, like going through anarchism to authority um, managed community. And yeah, we realized that it's not our our way to participate, or the way we want to engaged in the sangha. So currently we mostly associate with devotees online, like through online sanghas and study groups. And uh, about the projects of our Guru Maharaj, uh, Krishna Charan can say more, because he spent almost half a year in India, where the
Wow.
main project of our Guru Maharaj is developing. Mm. Yeah, this was like uh, sometime after we moved out of the farm project. But yeah, in so I will speak about this project now. It's called mm, like Varnashrama Resource Center, or uh, I'm sorry, Varnashrama College Foundation. It's like young project, so it's not really there is not much publicity about the project, and I will speak about it now. But I'm not like official representative of this project, and I'm like sharing my experience from this place. And yeah, I would be happy to like with anyone who is interested to share more information. So please feel free to contact me. So this project is situated in West Bengal, Mayapur, Shridham Mayapur. It's like not directly the ISKCON. campus, but like not directly the roundabouts of the OVP, but it's very closely to the main temple in Mayapur. And there is a vision associated with this project to develop an education center focused on traditional simple lifestyle, which is still present in India and which can be practiced all over the world. Yeah, like even though the project is situated in India, the ambition is to reach like the global devotee community. And every year during Kartik month, like October, November, different courses are going on there. It is supposed to be precisely in line with the concept which Srila Prabhupada himself described in his books called Varnashrama College, which is meant for like devotees, even adult devotees, to educate themselves in the traditional social system described in our scriptures in the Vedas, but with the emphasis on like the Daiva aspect of that system, described mainly by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. So the emphasis is given on the qualification and the character of the individual, not like the birth, the jati, or the caste, which unfortunately became prominent during the uh, like yeah, the Indian history of more recent past. Yeah,
Great, thank you for sharing that. And it's quite inspiring to hear that this project is happening. I'm aware of other projects that are similar to it, but this is really inspiring. And you know, I'm from the countryside in England. I'm from a rural part of England, and I know just the benefit that living that simple life growing up, you know, being outside, being amongst nature, being in wildlife. I know how much of a benefit that's had for me and on me. You know, so promoting Varnashram, I think, is incredibly important. But there's a similar project, I think, in Belgium at Radodesh that I'm kind of aware of. But this is a bit different to yours, but this is really, really good to hear about. Um, okay. Um, when uh we were discussing questions and topics over the last few weeks about what we could talk about today, because everyone's got a story to tell. One of the things that came up was interfaith and interfaith dialogue. And I understand that you both have that kind of enthusiasm for interfaith dialogue and cooperation. Why is that? And what benefits are there to learning from other religious traditions?
yeah. So for me, like from the first time I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books and with the devotees, I was very much impressed how they have something to say about the different traditions and how they don't dismiss them, like rejecting them totally as not not authorized way to God, but rather seeing them as some steps on the journey. Like I think Srila Prabhupada uses the comparison to uh, um, like staircase and lifter, and elevator. Like the Bhakti Yoga is elevator to to the God, and some other paths maybe like slower, but goes to the same destination. So uh, like from early early age, when I become to began thinking about God and spirituality, I had this feeling like that all the traditions, all the religions share the common center, common core, and they may have different expressions of the relationship with God. They may use different names for God, but the goal is more or less the same. Um, Nonetheless, some of my Christian friends from the school didn't share this view, and they view other religions as in the worst case, like worshipping some other god or even Satan. So I was attracted by this view from the beginning, and uh, yeah, I always like to hear from people about their personal experiences with
Mm,
God and with their spiritual journey. And like in this direction, I love one quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so I would like to share it with you. It's from Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, and he says there, if one goes to another place of worship, one should think, the people here are worshipping my Lord, but in a different way. Because of my different training, I cannot properly comprehend this system of worship. However, through this experience, I can deepen my appreciation for my own system of worship. The Lord is only one, not two. Therefore, I offer my respects to the form I see here and pray to the Lord in this new form that He may increase my love for Him in the form to which I am accustomed. So this is for me like the uh, essence of the approach that
mm,
I agree on, and I have two. I would like to recall maybe two personal experiences I had in this area. Uh, when I was distributing books in the streets, like asking people about their relation to God, and if they are interested to know more about spirituality and so on. I met one Christian lady, and she she was very natural, like speaking about her relationship with God, that she speaks directly to him every day when she sees something nice, like sun is shining, she thanks God for that, or when she needs to decide about something, she asks him for the direction. So she told me that um, she was directly asking me like if I speak with God this way, and I realized that I don't I don't have, or at that time I didn't have this direct approach to God as a person. So she was like more personal than me in this way, even though she didn't have such details as me as we may have in
mm,
our
mm,
scriptures and so on. So yeah, this inspired me to like speak more directly in short moments, like in daily life, to Krishna, and uh, simply like develop the personal bond. And the other experience I would like to mention is my visit to a community of 12 tribes, they call themselves. And this is also like new religious movement started in 70s in US. And nowadays they have communities also all around the globe, more or less. And I visited one of the communities in Czech Republic, and this was the time when I was questioning or looking for some method how we can improve the relationships in our communities, or how to how to deal with conflicts, for example, among devotees. Like as you said, we are all different and we have like different needs, and we need some specific way how to deal with these differences, how to accommodate them, and how to make feel everyone welcomed in the community. Um, so in this farm um, farm community of 12 tribes, I experienced like circle sharing. They held um, every morning. For them is for them it's kind of ceremony, like sharing. It could be it could be seen as a group confession, like they are sharing about their challenges in daily life, about their um, like some thoughts that are bothering them. Yeah, so for me this was very strong impetus to uh, look more into this circle dynamics, circle work, let's say.
Wow. So the 12 tribes community, we were speaking about that a few weeks ago. It's a Christian initiative. It's I mean, are they similar to the Amish in terms of they live
Mm,
rural lives away from the world?
yeah, in the lifestyle, it's very close to the Amish. Uh, 12 tribes use like electricity and more of the modern gadgets. But they, yeah, they wanted to start their own thing because none of the church of none of the churches of the time wasn't expressing the need for close. Uh, like the biggest inspiration for them is the lifestyle of the first Christians who lived together in communion and sharing everything they had. So this is how they live. They there are there may be like more families living in one house, and
Mm,
they share their meals in the day, and uh,
yeah. It sounds very inspiring and I mean, I don't know. I hadn't heard of the 12 tribes community until you told me the other week, but it certainly sounds like other kind of independent Christian groups that I've heard of, like the Apostles' Church or the Acts of the Apostles' Church, you know, the New Testament Church, a lot of kind of new Christian groups that are set up because they want to go back to basics.
hmm,
You know, they want to be free from the traditions of the church, which are not in the Bible, and just go, what did Jesus actually say? How should we really follow Jesus? Well, let's read about, you know, let's read it in the Gospels, or let's go to Paul who was the apostle who went traveling all around kind of Southeast Asia, Southeast Europe, the Middle East, preaching the gospel of Jesus. So there's a number of Christian groups like that, and yeah, they're very good at being authentic and quite real. Just out of interest, the 12 tribes community, are they kind of quite conservative or more liberal or center ground?
It's kind of similar to mm, the some of the ISKCON devotees, I would say. Like uh, the origins are very similar. Like the people come from uh, hippie subculture or punk subculture, and they discovered some need, some gap in their lives for
Mm, mm,
spirituality, and they discovered the meaning in the words of Jesus, and especially the roots, like roots of Christianity and the um, original uh, statements, original ideas of Jesus Christ. So the I would say they are more conservative. Like mm, for example, the family setting is like traditional one. Like the father has the um, protecting role and taking care of the wife and children, and they um, they have also like preaching program, and I'm not sure actually if it is allowed for women even to participate in this, but uh, every year, like maybe twice a year, there is a couple of men chosen to go for preaching journey. Uh, they go like to particular city with no specific intention. It's like yeah, like the traveling of the first
mm.
apostles, and they are their intention is to share their um, zjevení, like their revelations or yeah, the personal experiences, and with no money, so they depend on the hospitality of the people who they meet. And once we were once they went to the city where we lived, and we accommodated them in our flat for one night.
That's great.
It was nice.
And did they
um
know that you were Hare Krishna devotees?
yeah. I was At the first time I went there, I expressed, I shared with them that I have like my own spirituality, my own path, and they were okay with that. Um, like we agreed on the universalist point I uh, mentioned before. Like the God is common for all the religions, all the theistic religions.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate it. And yeah, I like to learn new things as well. The 12 tribes community I'd never heard of before. Not that I've heard of every religious group going in the world, but I thought I knew certainly most of them. And what you're explaining actually, it's kind of similar, but not the same. But it's similar to the Mormons or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So they send it's compulsory for young people once they've, I think, turned 18, or young adults, to be missionaries for 2 years and be just sent to a random city. It's a bit different because there will be a Mormon community there that supports them with an apartment and
Mm,
make sure they've got like pocket money and expenses and things. But it's very similar going to a completely unknown area, and they do allow women to do it as well.
Mm.
So the Mormons are a bit more liberal than the 12 tribes community, but we have a lot of Mormons in the city that I live. There's actually more Mormons than there are probably Sikhs or Jews. It's a very big Mormon church because
Mm.
they keep having children.
Yeah.
That's how lots of these religions grow. There's no monastic order, so they just keep having big children, lots of families. Okay, and tied on to that is kind of the next question is please tell us about your interest in community building. And I love this next question. It's a long one, but I'm going to ask it. So please tell us about your interest in community building. What advice can you give on how we can create authentic, God-centered, egalitarian devotee communities? I love that
Mm.
word, egalitarian. I had to just put it in. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you put the question. Um, so, as I said, I was interested, or I was driven s- to get to know more about the circle work, and this led me to method called um, directly community building, which was developed by Scott Peck, American psychiatrist who worked and lived mostly during 1980s, and he developed this method of um, community building for companies i- and businesses especially, but nowadays it's practiced like in various environments as like intentional communities, for example, and even some like they do also like seminars, public seminars, when everybody can come from any background, and uh, he himself was practicing Christian. He changed like several churches during his lifetime, and in this method, um, the very very basic of the thing of the method is that people just have to put aside some time just to be together in yeah, just to have time to share anything they they feel is important to them to express, and uh,
So
yeah,
it's
so
kind of like honesty in the workplace, being open and honest.
right,
Um,
exactly.
I I find that quite interesting. Yeah.
There are like few simple guidelines in the method, mm, and like like for example, speaking just for yourself, not generalizing or using some reacting to others' statements, which can help to avoid some gossiping or blaming others in the community. And also another nice point or nice guideline is to say your name before you speak, so you can uh, refocus on yourself and on the feelings you have, rather than pointing out what is the mistake that others made, and it may be similar, close to non-violent communication, that if we want to change something or um, if we need to express something we are not pleased by, or that triggers us, it's the best to think about our own feelings, and then uh, about the behavior of other person that caused these feelings, like not accusing the other person of uh, hurting me, because it's actually like my own reaction that hurts, that I I decide to give my um, attention, like, yeah. So yeah, uh, and actually this um, this is quite similar to uh, method developed recently by a group of devotees in Russia, in a national board of ISKCON, uh, and this method is called principles of satsanga. There are like 27 principles mentioned in a book called Where Does Empowerment Come From? And this was big research done by the devotees in management positions in Russian Yatra. They studied like different ISKCON communities, most some in Europe, some in India, and there is uh, there is interesting division like made in the ways of managing the communities, like dividing them to democratic way, authoritative way, and anarchist way. And according to this to their research, the the most sustainable way how to manage community is by collegial culture, mm, Madhyama culture. They uh, they speak about like sangha of leaders, which is made up from several sanghas uh, in the community. So, for example, if you have a community with 100 members, there may be 10 sanghas with 10 each sangha with 10 members, and from this 10 sanghas there are 10 representatives of each sangha, and these representatives create the leader sangha of leaders. And in this way, like every member of the community can directly speak to the leader. There is no one person who leads the community and who is like overloaded with the uh, um, like concerns of all the
Mm.
members, but there is rather like um, circle of elders, let's say, who have regularly meetings with with their sangha, made of the members of, like, yeah.
And each of those 10 from the 10 groups, are they democratically elected by the other nine in that group?
There is the ideal of consensus, that the decisions are made by consensual agreeing on the next step. So if there is one person who doesn't agree with the decision, they have to go through it again until everybody agrees. There are also cases like for scenarios when it needs to be decided fast enough. And at that time, they vote, but there shouldn't be the situation which may happen in democracy, that the majority decides.
Mm.
In this case, it should be like the whole community which agrees on the decisions. So currently, I'm studying this method with other devotees in Czech Republic who has more experience, and yeah.
I'm quite intrigued to hear about this, and I'm intrigued to hear about these Russian devotees that have done the research and written the book,
Mm,
and they've done all of this research on the different ISKCON communities around the world. And I'd be intrigued to know. So you said the collegial cultural
collegial, like colleagues.
working together, kind of mutual cooperation type thing. That's the most successful model for the success or
Mm,
the sustainability of an ISKCON community or a Hare Krishna community. And I'd love to know, I don't know if this is mentioned in the book, which communities they actually are, whether they identified that, Radhadesh or Bhaktivedanta
mm,
Manor or ISKCON Durban, South Africa. I'm just intrigued to know which, did they name them at all?
mm.
Um,
I didn't go through the whole book yet, but I heard from the devotees that they used as a reference the Hungarian farm, Krishna Valley. Uh, I'm not actually sure what is the situation there about the management. I've heard that uh, Shivaram Maharaj, the main person behind this project, gave like the responsibility of managing to like several devotees there. And the other reference uh, is Iskon Juhu, probably India.
yeah, I'm
And
I'm looking at my phone, not because I'm being rude, but I interviewed a devotee called um, Radha Krishna Devi Dasi last year, and she
mm,
lives in a community in Canada. It's a rural community in Canada, which I think is from what she was telling me, it sounds like a wonderful place to live in. But she was certainly it's been running for like 40 years. That everyone seems to get along. And it seems that they've got this kind of cooperative, mutual cooperation model. And the name of the temple is the Saranagati Temple, or the Saranagati
yeah,
village. You've heard of
yeah,
them?
yeah. Our Guru Maharaj goes there regularly. Um, it's one of the oldest communities, I guess, in ISKCON, around 40 years.
Yeah. Yes, that was episode 159. Uh, this is episode 169. Episode 159, Krishna Consciousness in Canada. We talked about this particular community. Um, and from what she was saying, it sounds like what you're talking about. So, yes, anyone listening, watch that episode as well as 169, 159 as well. Um, okay. I'm also taking notes myself, if you can see,
Mm,
because I'm just fascinated. I want devotee communities to work. I want us to learn from each other and share knowledge and share ideas. And as you can probably tell, I'm not a conformist. I'm a non-conformist. And I joke a lot. I struggle with authority. So I joined the Hare Krishna movement. Um, um, so I really, I appreciate being able to make my own decisions for myself. Krishna has given me free will. Krishna has given me independence. Of course, I need to take shelter of guru of Gauranga, of Sastra. Of course, I recognize that submitting to the will of the Parampara, particularly to Prabhupada, is so important. But also, I want to be in an environment where I can make my own decisions. I have a mind for myself. So I'm intrigued by this stuff. And I want Krishna consciousness to spread all over the world because I love this philosophy. And the Hare Krishna Project, we are an independent project, and we work with two independent temples, the Hare Krishna Center in Leicester, which is in the middle of England, and also the Radha Kripa Mission in northern France. And we are part of something called the League of Devotees, which is or League of Devotees 2.0. The League of Devotees are back from the 1950s, and it's basically a federation of independent projects.
Mm.
And what we do is we provide support to independent projects. We share resources, we share ideas, and at the moment it's kind of a mutual collective. So there's no leader. There's leaders of three groups, and we work together, we support each other. And so there's some things that the Hare Krishna project does well, and some things we don't do well at all. And that's the same for each of the different groups. So we're sharing ideas and we're sharing experiences. And I'm going to look at this book written by Scott Beck that you've mentioned to see how can the League of Devotees 2.0 learn from this model around, speaking only for yourself.
Mm.
Um,
The
um,
I can recommend like specific title. It's called Different Drum. Different Drum from Scott Peck.
Different drum. Okay.
There is like the specific description of the method.
That's really useful because we are, uh, if you go on Facebook and go to the League of Devotees, you'll see more about the project.
Mm.
And we are also, I mean, this is not a secret, so I'll tell you, we're in the process of we're in conversation with other independent projects and temples about joining us. So we're creating a support network. We want to support each other. And we're currently in conversations with maybe 4 or 5 other independent groups about joining us. And somebody asked us once, the one person that unites us is Srila Prabhupada. We want to follow Prabhupada. We take shelter of Prabhupada. But somebody once asked us, what is the mood of the League of Devotees? And actually, we didn't have an answer straight away because there isn't one single mood. Each project, each temple has a different mood. One is more missionary focused. One is more about serving Prabhupada at home. One is more about preaching in a different way. So the moods are different. Um, and we're still learning how we work with each other.
Mm.
And some of us have different preferences for different things. So before we hit the record button, um, Prabhu, you were saying that you had seen some of the talks that I gave about inclusive Vaishnavism. And one of the talks I gave was about having a postmodern approach to Krishna consciousness. Now, some people might think that's a bit of a heresy, that you have all these multiple truths, but I think you can have multiple truths within the Hare Krishna movement.
Mm.
There's different ways about doing things. So that's what we're learning in the League of Devotees is how do we support each other and see things differently. So I'm definitely that was a long-winded way of me saying I'm definitely gonna look into Scott Beck because I think we can learn from him
Mm.
and his writings. Okay, we've got 2 more questions. I'm conscious of the time. I knew we would have a wonderful conversation today. I've never interviewed twins before. So it's still an absolute first. I'm sorry it's taken 169 episodes to get to you. Um, we've had a whole range of individuals with different stories and different moods over the years. Okay, what are your thoughts on the current condition of sounds like a medical thing, doesn't it? What are your thoughts on the current condition of the present day Hare Krishna movement?
Mm. I will let you speak, Krishna Charan. Mm. Well, yeah, like as you said, Narada Prabhu, I think it's really diverse. Um, the ocean, or rather the tree of the Gauranga Mahaprabhu's movement is very grown very tall and very many has many branches. Is growing a little bit wild.
I love that analogy. Tall and wild. Wow.
So I think that everyone has his choice to join the particular sangha he is most attracted to. Still, I think, like speaking personally for myself, Krishna Charan Das is speaking. I feel the most. I'm most grateful to Srila Prabhupada, because without his his pilgrimage to the West, his yeah, sharing the message of Gauranga Mahaprabhu in the Western countries, I wouldn't have the opportunity in this body, in this lifetime, to get to know about Krishna consciousness. I didn't even have I wouldn't even have the words to describe Krishna consciousness. So yeah, I would
Um,
I would rather focus on the second question. Uh,
yeah, I want really want to say I love the analogy. I mean, we often hear and we often use the analogy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's family tree being big and many branches and sub-branches, but I've never heard the expression tall and wild. And I really like that. You know, I think wild, it can be a good thing, can't it? And I'm I've been
it's
around the
natural.
movement for 20 years, and about 4 years ago, I wrote a book called The Hare Krishnas in Britain, and it was a book about the diversity of the movement in Britain. And I only did Britain because I only had time to do Britain. And I discovered there were in the Sarasvat line. So all the groups that come from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, in that line there are 20 different Hare Krishna groups in Britain that
Wow.
have representation. So that's ISKCON and 19 others. And since the book was published 4 years ago, at least two other groups have sprung up. Now, in one sense, they're kind of splinter groups. They've had some disagreements. And also, one of the groups that I previously labeled as Ritvik is now no longer Ritvik. It's different. And I could write a whole chapter on that. And also, they might be listening, but I'll say it anyway. The Sri Chaitanya Sarasvat Mat, the Sridhar Maharaj group, has also had a lot of division over the last 3 or 4 years. That's not my opinion; that's fact. There's, the mat is divided around the world, and in Britain, there's different ways that mat is now represented, and I could write a book on that mat alone. So, um, Lord Chaitanya's tree is growing ever so, and there's all these different branches. And also in Britain, we also have devotees in the Nityananda line, in the Nityananda Vamsa or family, or Parivar. I I think the correct word is Vamsa, not I think Parivar means family, which is biological, and Vamsa means something different. So and that's an interesting kind of exploration. So but yes, tall and wild, most definitely. I'm just wondering if your brother wants to answer that question, or do you want to go both to the final question?
Yeah, just a short comment in connection to the interfaith dialogue. It's a little bit sad, like how we can tolerate or even have conversations with other religious people, other religions, but inter sangha or inter sampradaya dialogue is sometimes uh, very closed or feared or rejected. So I was inspired in your series of on the inclusive Vaishnavism by the example of churches together, where like this ecumenistic approach, where people do something good together. Uh, it may be just like cleaning local park or and then chanting Mahamantra or feeding homeless people or whatever. Yeah, so uh, even even in Czech Republic, there is one sort of this sangha where people from different sanghas or different backgrounds in Bhakti tradition they meet and they actually uh, reconnect or they want to reenact the Tompkinson Park kirtans. Like they
Mm.
find a particular tree in a city park and they gather around the tree and chant Mahamantra together. And there are in different places, this like different countries even. Yeah, there's one devotee in Czech Republic. He calls this initiative Hare Krishna tree, and they even got one tree in London in the Hyde Park. So yeah.
Wow, great. I'm pleased. I am Shyamakund Prabhu. I'm pleased that you looked at the talks that we gave on inclusive Vaishnavism. And just to let you know, and anyone who might be listening, is that that will be published as a book later this year called Inclusive Krishna.
Mm.
So what we're doing is we're looking at how minority groups can feel a sense of inclusion within the Hare Krishna movement, because I take very seriously Prabhupada's instruction that the Hare ISKCON, particularly with the Hare Krishna movement, should be a house for the whole world. Well, if you're
Mm.
going to include the whole world, you've got to include different people that have different backgrounds and different interests and different sexual preferences and different genders and different levels of wealth and even different beliefs.
Mhm.
Some of us will have different views on different theological issues. But actually, how can we really be inclusive? And so inclusive Krishna. I've got another book coming out soon, which is a bit more edgy.
Mhm.
um, Inclusive Krishna is coming out later this year. Yeah, and thank you for reminding me of that. And I love the whole tree idea. You know, I was actually just thinking of Buddha, Lord Buddha. Who a lot of Buddhists want to feel close to Buddha, so they go and sit under a tree. So if also Hare Krishna devotees want to go and chant under trees because of Prabhupada, great. I think that's wonderful. You know, to kind of go back to the kind of the original method that Prabhupada started in the USA back in the 1960s. Okay, our final question. It's a positive one. We always like to finish on a positive. How can we attract more Western people to the path of bhakti?
Yeah, in this connection, I would like to share about one particular approach towards this topic. I heard from uh, I hope it would cause no harm to mention the name. There is a talk given by Navarvi Prabhu at Jiva Institute. It was given there on the translating the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures into English and other world languages, and how to like properly represent the tradition. So this devotee from coming from US, he was for last few decades, I would say, he was working on a translation of Sri Sandarbhas by Shyamakund Goswami. And he mentioned also about an intention or about a vision he has to publish a book, one volume book, which will in a like condensed way, but still very thoroughly share and represent present the teachings of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, the Siddhanta of our philosophy in a language which is comprehensible and understandable to the Western academia or to the Western wider range of communities interested in spirituality. So I think this is like a crucial step that we should, yeah, after understanding ourselves in depth, the Siddhanta of our philosophy, which is actually described in Sri Shandarbhas especially, and so we should really not be like judgy, like judge the karmis, the scientists, whoever it is. We should be open to them, and we should be ready to use their language to explain and to present our philosophy, because he was especially pointing to the fact that the contemporary, especially the brain sciences and like quantum physicists or psychologists, they are gradually approaching the topics in their research which are in detail described in the scriptures, in the writings of our Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas, especially about the nature of consciousness. So it's for them it's very attractive source and topic, but often uh, they don't have any idea, like the researchers, that they could find something interesting in these books, centuries old books. And yeah, unless we have really like flourishing and healthy communities when we can practically demonstrate the lifestyle which is like emerging, which is coming out of these books, out of these teachings, we cannot like uh yeah, attract the general public in contrast, like, yeah. I would say, I would like to add that we really need like safe spaces for healing our uh, personal injuries, even connected with the religious topics or uh, discrimination topics. So in my opinion, this this sense of trust and safety can is uh, is what many people are needing and looking for. And if we are able to mm, develop this sense of trust and safety, mutual support in our sanghas, that people who come in contact with us will be naturally attracted to it.
Wow. Shyamakund Prabhu, I just want to say I love that. I have never heard anyone come up with that idea before. But safe spaces for healing. I mean, I've never heard a Hare Krishna devotee say that before, but it's like it shouldn't sound revolutionary, but it is. We have to create safe spaces for healing. We're all traumatized to a different extent. We're all damaged,
Yeah.
damaged goods in this material world. That's why we're still stuck here. So we need healing. Wow,
Yeah,
I feel
we have to stop fearing to admit our injuries, our pains, and that's actually the vulnerability. If we are, if we allow ourselves to express our vulnerability, it will empower our sense of connection to others and to ourselves involved. And
yeah.
I love how Padmanabha Maharaj speaks on these topics in his book, another book recommendation, uh, um, radical personalism
Yes, I've
manifesto.
met Maharaj a few times um here in the UK. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine. He's another radical revolutionary thinker. Um and I like people that stir things up a bit because we all become very comfortable, don't we, with
Mhm.
kind of doing things the same way all the time. And it's good to have someone that comes along and shakes the system. And he's certainly, I think he does that quite well. But I agree with you 108% actually. And I often think, I mean, my own experience is devotees within the Hare Krishna movement can come across as quite military or regimental, like, don't show emotion.
Mhm.
And, they're not really interested in how you really are doing. And I think we all need to get better at showing empathy and being caring and being kind and not being judgmental. A Christian friend once said to me that we cannot force people into the kingdom of God. We have to love them into the kingdom of God.
Mhm.
Be kind and caring as much as possible. And I have to admit, when I first joined the movement, I thought that I shouldn't express any emotions. I thought, well, everything's temporary. These thoughts and these feelings are temporary, and my family's temporary, and I shouldn't get too attached to things. And I went around for several years thinking that I shouldn't, form bonds with people. I shouldn't have
Mhm.
friendships. And I remember this really well. It was probably about 10 years ago, maybe more. I was at Bhaktivedanta Manor and I was upstairs in Prabhupada's room.
Mhm.
And they've kept the room very similar to the 1970s when Prabhupada was physically present. And every day, the team there will change the letter. There's a different letter on the desk
Mhm.
written by Prabhupada to somebody. And this particular day was a letter dated 1969. It was a letter that Prabhupada wrote to the disciples of Keshava Maharaj. So Keshava Maharaj was Prabhupada's sannyas guru, and also the guru to Narayana Maharaj. And is that correct? Yes, it is correct. And Keshava Maharaj had just left his body. He'd passed away. He'd left the planet. And Prabhupada wrote a letter to the disciples of Keshava Maharaj to express his sadness. I'm really sorry for your loss. I can understand your pain. I can understand your emotion. It's okay to be sad. I was like, wow, Prabhupada is sad.
Mhm.
Prabhupada is expressing loss. So I get we're not the body. I get it intellectually. I don't feel it all the time, but intellectually I understand. But Prabhupada is not saying, oh, don't worry about it. He's not the body. Prabhupada's saying, yes, I understand your worry. I understand your pain. I feel your loss. So
Mhm.
Prabhupada, the revolutionary who brought Krishna consciousness to the West, who saved us sinners, he showed emotion to people. I mean, that's amazing. So,
Mhm.
yeah, safe spaces for healing. I love that.
Yeah, this reminds me uh, one thing that Padmanabha Maharaj says often about the Nara Lila, human-like pastimes of Krishna, that we sometimes think of the human, think of something less, something unworthy, something we should get out of as soon as possible. But the God himself uh, enjoys the human mm, position, human experience in his pastimes. So he is like in the same time perfectly divine and perfectly human, like expressing all the range of the emotions,
Hmm.
including anger and fear and loss and depression. So, and if we look to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the deity of our Sampradaya, he is like even exceeding the Krishna's expression, like he is personified vulnerability. He allows to he allows himself to express anything to in connection to God and his associates. So we
Because
shouldn't.
Krishna is a person. I mean, the supreme person, the ultimate supreme person. But we and when I go and visit schools and I talk to young people about Krishna consciousness, and I try and explain Krishna consciousness in a very basic way, but I talk about how we're all individual um, souls, beings, and we have a source. Everything around you has a source. The tree, the chair that I'm sitting on, the light that I've gone on, my glasses, the kurtas that you're wearing, they all have a source. They didn't just appear. And also, therefore, we can assume that spiritually we have a source as well. And so, therefore, we can conclude logically, this is pure rational thinking. If ourselves, if we are soul, we are individual personalities, the source we come from must also be a personality. It's the supreme personality. So if we are having these thoughts and these feelings, this sadness, anger, love, compassion, Krishna must also feel these things. It's logical, actually. It's just rational
Mm,
thinking.
yeah. Mhm.
Um, okay, believe it or not, we have been recording this podcast for almost 2 hours.
Ooh,
We've been
time is
talking
relative.
for over 2 hours because we had a wonderful conversation before I started recording. Um, but Shyamakund Prabhu and Krishna Charana Prabhu, it's been a fantastic conversation today to hear from you both.
It was thanks to your fantastic questions.
Yes, they were well, I love the interfaith discussion because I'm interested in interfaith, and so I really wanted to ask a question about that because for some reason I've got to 169 episodes and not talked about interfaith before. So it's been great to have you both on the show. Um, I am going to say goodbye to the viewers at home. But if you stay in the room or stay on the line, it's like a talk show, a chat show, isn't it? Stay on the line. If you stay on the line, we'll talk after. So a big thank you to Shyamakund Prabhu and Krishna Charana Prabhu for jointly being our 169th guests on the Hare Krishna Project podcast. I'm sorry it's taken 4 years to get to them, but the first ever set of twins to appear on the Hare Krishna Project podcast. I'm very grateful to them for being honest and sharing their story, and particularly that wonderful information about community building. Um, and how we can all, as devotees or aspiring devotees, be better at working with each other. Okay, so do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook, if you haven't already, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. Um, every time I say that, the number of subscribers and followers does go up. So it means that you are listening to me. So thank you. It's not just me and my mum, you know. Okay, and anyone else's mum who might be watching. So until next week, I will see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.